Hey guys, how's it going? Today we have quite a different type of update that I have a bit of a mixed bag on from Boltrend. We have a couple surprising things that popped up, but mainly we have the new character Gustav. And if you guys haven't already figured out, they seem to be updating primarily through their Reddit, so be sure to subscribe there.
Hey, listen!
Okay guys, as you can see here, Boltrend themselves posted a Reddit post called Limited Gacha Gustav Chance Up. In this, we have a higher percent chance of getting Gustav. This is the first time where you are seeing him enter the game. In the story, he is the brother of... I keep wanting to call her Leona because she looks so much like a League of Legends character, but Rosalind, also followed by Wolf and Tanya. Wolf and Tanya are definitely not things you should prioritize in this. This is also the first time that we will see Wolf in the main gacha format as well. Before, she was exclusive to the 4-star gacha. Or he, I'm not quite sure which it is. I haven't looked into her too much. I looked at their skills and wasn't compelled. But let's take a look at Gustav here and let's see if he's something that's worth prioritizing. So as you can see, Gustav both has a law and a chaos instead of a neutral and a chaos, where a law and a neutral. He is an archer type that can turn into Leo, largely because he is a fire type. His base stats are okay, but they're nothing too great. His normal attack is as expected. His turn 1 is a 50, and his turn 2 is an 80 with a 20% chance of inflicting burn. Neither one of those are truly relevant. Just 20% chance to burn is really low, and you have to normal attack twice for it to activate, so it is a pretty rough skill to stack up. On his law side here, he does a single target 180 damage and deals an additional 50 power-up follow that hits all enemies. So to one target, he's doing about 270% power. And then to everybody else, he's doing 50 to 70. Nothing to write home about for his A2. That is a pretty lackluster ability, even with the AoE damage factored in, and you need an element requirement of 6 to do it. Meteor Catapult Reformed. It has the slowest priority on the team. It hits 3 random opponents with a 30% chance, or you increase the damage by 30% if you take 0 damage before acting, and it is the slowest priority, so that is a bit rough on that one. And it attacks twice if the target has burn. So as we saw earlier on his auto attack with a 20% chance, he is really relying on someone else to set this up to attack twice. But if you were to pull that off, he then becomes pretty interesting of a character. But both of these skills, honestly, are pretty bad, and they have a very high elemental requirement despite doing next to nothing. The fact that he needs this burn status to do it really makes him dependent on other fire units, which really ruins rainbow comps. So he is not viable rainbow comps in law so far. And then his elemental burst as a law, thankfully it is only an 8. It attacks all enemies for 270. It inflicts damage against targets with burn status by an additional 20%. Once again, requires some setup to do an additional 20%. But I mean, let's be honest, it's not a ton of a multiplier force, and has a 40% chance to inflict fear to all enemies. That one is actually interesting, so you have a little bit of utility for him on his EB there with 40% chance to inflict fear. There definitely are better options in the game for a utility, and being that he is a DPS where his secondary DPS option is on a slowest priority, his law version seems pretty terrible to me. So let's look at his chaos side. Big Bang Arrow. It also has an elemental value requirement of 6. It does 180 to 234 to a single enemy. Deals an additional 50 to 70 follow-up that hits all enemies. Okay, that's better. 40% chance to inflict burn. That's at least somewhat better, but it has a 5 turn cooldown. So you're basically going to need to be running someone like Zola or Ina Marie, if you need this burn to be something you're constantly proccing to other enemies. And also here, his Meteor Catapult, 3 random hits with a 0 damage before acting, increased 30%, slowest priority. The good news here though is that it's only increasing the damage by 30%, so you're largely just doing 125 damage at the end. So this is like a secondary skill to Big Bang Arrow. So far he is an A2 and Elemental Burst type of hero. His A3 on his Chaos side is pretty terrible in my opinion, and it has a pretty substantial elemental value requirement. And down here at the Chaos, we see Leo Flare Dark Arrow, all enemies 270, elemental value requirement 8, increased damage against targets with burning status by 20%. At least you have a decent chance of doing that, and lowers defense of all enemies by 15% for 3 turns. This isn't that great either, so I don't really see anything in this guy's kit that makes me think that he's a must pull. If this is the only banner that they're putting out there, I would roll for Summer Flamey if you want a fire unit, or if you don't have your Windus and Stella, I would do it. Though with 3 fire elementals out there of priority, Eliakim, Summer Flamey, and Rosalinda, you should potentially think of making sure you have that Summer Stella. You should be making sure that you're leveling up your Camphor. Those seem to be a priority, especially since Rosalind is very, very strong right now. Gustav, I mean, if you get him, he can fit in here, but honestly, there are a bunch of 4 stars and 3 stars so far that I would rather have over this guy. He looks really, really cool, but he is an easy pass for me, guys. The other thing that I wanted to talk about real quick is that they actually removed one of the in-game campaigns, the limited time campaign. There was no timer on it, but the fact that there was no announcement or timer is actually kind of frustrating. Boltrend seems to be trying hard to give us some sort of communication. They are Japanese primarily, so there is a bit of communication gap there, but it would have been much better to see some sort of in-game announcement, or at least a Reddit post detailing the information there. So we have to take that into account as we move forward, that these limited events can end without a second's notice. So guys, that's that. Overall, kind of a discouraging banner event update, but that's okay, because we don't really have a ton of star diamonds being flown around right now, so this is a good chance to save. Be sure to be keeping up with your Idolas and your arenas, get the most out of it for the next 2 weeks, and maybe next week there will be something that is a must roll, but Gustav is a hard pass for me, guys. Take care.